Also, I mean, you can't be on this pod, can he?
Why not?
No, well, I think he can. I think he can.
He won't accept the fact. Well, we got a new name for this pod. That's why I'm saying. That's the reason why I'm saying he can't be on this pod. But
was it the name One Black Guy?
No. You'll find out. Go ahead, Tom. Do the intro, Tom.
Only One Black Guy. It's the name of the pod.
Welcome to the Coming Home podcast.
Oh.
Yeah. You're still fighting a good fight, man.
Never.
Yeah.
I'm
Come
never
on
coming
home. Come home, man.
I'm coming home to Turkey.
Two bald podcast hosts and our guests are full of hair. Our producer is, at least.
I mean, how close have you come to coming home?
So remember when I had my hair grown out and curly and whatever. So the day before I decided to cut it back down and go back to my standard look, as I like to call it, I went to the barber and I said, look, I want you to cut it down, but like, just be prepared. If I don't like where this hairline is at, that's it. I'm ready. So he said, no, you're fine. I'm like, respectfully, I've been looking at it for months. Like, I don't think I'm fine. I've been doing this, holding my hair back, like, oh my God, where's the hairline? So he cut it down and I looked at myself like, all right, like, this is fine. I can work with this. And so I've been doing that ever since. So
does like a record scratch happen in the barbershop when someone says, if it doesn't work out, I'm ready. I'm ready to come home. Like, is it like everyone looks like, today's the day? Today's the day?
It's just
if you actually got that camaraderie and around the, I do miss that part about my Phoenix barbershop, right? Going to art, he cuts everybody's hair in the city that's known, but he also teaches barber college and he has a reasonable business, right? Mm-hmm. With a great price. So when you go in there, you got this dude named Coors. Shout outs to Coors, Dallas Cowboy fan, literally comes with a 6-pack of Coors. Like, that's why I got his nickname, Coors.
Hey,
right?
Why do they call him Coors?
Right? So, and no matter what time it is, it could be 10 a.m. Coors is there. He's going to have a brew. He's going to get his hair cut. He's going to leave. He's going to talk about how
beer.
He's going to talk about how great the Cowboys are going to do it this year. And then we see him and he'll still show up. He doesn't hide. He doesn't duck the slander. He's a great guy. Then you got the normal people that come in, right? And I remember the first time I came back from New York, they hadn't seen me bald.
Oh.
So everybody's like, I took off my hat. Everybody's like, okay. I'm like, no, none of that. It was still none of that. It was no judgment. It was like, okay, he's probably about to get a cut. And I'm like, yo, Art, take it all off. He like, yo, you sure? I'm like, bro, I've been rocking a bald head. But I also haven't been texting him like, yo, I came home.
Right.
Like this and that. He's like, in his eyes, barbers always think they can pull off the most magic.
You can save it. That's
their whole. Or they'll always say, hey, it doesn't look that bad.
They're an NBA coach of Marvin Bagley. Is that what it is? Hey, I could turn this guy into the real all-star. Yes.
I can save him.
I could save him. And that's the particular situation. I'm like, no, I know what I want. I know what I've been through. Take it off. We're not just going to play these little mental games of me showing up with hair here and there unless I really went to Turkey. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not happening.
By the way, I saw Tracy McGrady the other day, who did go to Turkey. It takes a while for that stuff to kick in. Mm-hmm. And so I'm looking at T-Mac and I'm like, it takes a while. Like, I don't know what you're supposed to do in the in-between time, but I guess you're not supposed to be going outside.
No, because you're going to look the crazy. Sun and all that stuff.
Well, I'm just saying you're going to look, you're going to look crazy in the in-between time. Because it's not like you go there and then like, 2 days, your hair grows, it's shaved down obviously to do the procedure. But then by the time it grows back, like, I got a full head of hair. It's like, there's like something like 6 to 9 months of an in-between phase.
I don't want to put this guy out. I did share it in the bomb chat not too long ago, but I played basketball with the guy. We don't do bossa novas on here, but I will say the man is respected in the review space. He reviews product, right? And he hooped with the in-between surgically hair, right? So he's like clearly, it looked crazy though.
You could tell like still on the house, so to speak. And
you could see the follicle starting to come in, but it's like,
the renovation isn't done.
That shit doesn't work. This guy could do this now, Tom. Like, white guy, by the way. Bruh could do this and put it in hairstyles and curl. Yeah. I said, excuse me? So I asked him. Yeah. I DM'd him. I said, hey, so when you get your hair cut, like, does that mess it up? He says, no, it's my hair.
Yep.
And I'm like,
you're back. You're back. You are back. Once it finishes and it takes root and all that, it's your living hair. It is not like, it's not plugs. It's your living hair.
All right. I should know more about this, Amin, but like, is it like Germany and blood spinning? Like, why is this just a Turkey thing?
So it's not just a Turkey thing. It's that Turkey has created like basically an industry around it. Like what they call it, like, is it cosmetic tourism or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And you can get it done in Colombia. You get it done here in the United States. It's really expensive here. In Turkey, you can get like, you pay $6,000. That includes the flight, the round trip flight. It includes, you get picked up at the airport, you get taken to a 5-star hotel, your hotel stay, there's food and beverages included, and the procedure. You go for the consult, you come back to the hotel, you go for the procedure, you come back, you chill a couple of days before you travel back. So it's like a 5-day or something thing, and it's all inclusive for $6,000, right? So that's what, yeah. Like the same thing in the United States, I believe just the procedure is $15,000 or something like that. Just for you to go in and do the thing with the doctor, not any of that extra shit. So people are like, oh, I'll go to Turkey and it's beautiful. And you get, there you go. Take some notes. You go, you sightsee and you have fun and you eat great food and you stay in a nice hotel.
I just don't want to do the testimony.
I'll do a testimony. I don't give a shit.
The testimony is always crazy.
I'm going to tell you right now, like they always do the same thing. It's like they show you and they draw the line where the hairline's going to be, and then they shave your hair off. And then like they do the thing where they're showing you like the incisions and stuff like that. And then at the end, like you got like a cocktail in your hand. You're like, like it's silly, but I would do it 1,000 times over.
My question for you, right? Amin, does hair make you happy? Having hair. Okay. Tom, you had luxurious hair at one point in time. Like I didn't even know you, but I seen photos and you actually, allowed this to grow. Does hair make you happy?
Like no. But I'm lucky. As Amin has said many times, I have a good shaped head.
Mm-hmm. I do too.
So the replacement value of having hair is very high. Like I'm fine. If I don't have hair, like I'm okay. But there are certain people who he might be from Akron, Ohio, who refuse to go.
He doesn't have a good, but he doesn't have a good.
He went very low one time, and the internet really killed him for it.
Dude, Mace says Steph Curry.
I don't think Steph could pull that off either. I'm not sure.
No,
it would be interesting because he's going to do the beard. That's another thing. I think I'm glad I don't wear my facial hair. I don't like force a beard because that's like the default for bald men.
You got to. You got to make up. You got to. Like, I'm gonna say, I have a good shaved head because I've shaved it before when I was in high school and stuff. When you could do that, things like that recreationally. Mm-hmm. I romanticize the time my hairline was here, man. I romanticize when like I could have waves and stuff like that. And every time I look at myself and say, oh, just shave it off. I'm like, no, man, I like having a lineup. I like having all of that. I like that look. And I'm like, I'm not ready to give it up.
You like the cosmetic part of
it. Yeah, man.
I get stressed out over, like, you talk about the bald white dude with the beard.
The Dave Dufour
Dufour, the Mike Gold Jr. Yeah. I get stressed out with that because beard lines stress me out. Like having to shave a beard line every day, it stresses me out. Like how to make my double chin, like where do I draw the line down here?
I'll be honest with you, Tom.
That stresses me the fuck out.
I'm gonna tell you, I don't do anything to my beard. Whatever happens to my beard happens when I go to my barber. So what I would say to you is just start going to a barber if you're going to grow a beard. Or I think the other thing you could do, you could really pull off is what I like to call the Alonzo Mourning, which was originally years ago, I said, if I ever go bald, I'm going to do the Lonzo morning, which is like that 5 o'clock shadow. Not a whole beard, but just a 5 o'clock shadow on it.
Yeah.
Like, I think you could pull that off, but that one would need more maintenance for sure.
But I think the contrast of a dark beard with a white face, you notice the lines a lot more and you have to keep it up more.
But this is what I would say. If you go to a barber the first time and get it done, you'll have that outline. So as the stubble starts to come in, let me shave that stubble. Yeah, that's the line.
Yeah, it stresses me out. Like you even talking about it stresses me out. So I just bick it all the way, all good. Right at the Adams apple, Maze says, I'm happy with just doing the bowling ball thing. I'm happy with it.
We pull it off well.
Oh, thank you. Trey, you're
I'm gonna get to the Tom level next year. Because that's gonna be my mature look. Like that's gonna be the Tom, nothing.
Man.
I'm gonna just be black dad, bro. Black mature dad out here.
I don't trust black people who have no facial hair, man.
No, I don't trust black people that don't have.
This is I don't know about this take.
Yeah,
what
man.
No. Black people would listen. Here's a look. I don't trust black people that got this with no stash.
That's the Abraham Lincoln.
That's the crazy joint. The no stash, but got
what's my man? The light skinned dude, Michael Ealy. He always does that.
He does some creepy shit like that, bro.
Yeah.
Like,
so Richard Jefferson, you don't fuck with. I mean,
RJ.
I don't trust him.
I don't trust him.
Untrustworthy.
Damn, RJ, you're not trusted out here.
Untrustworthy Richard Jefferson because he has no facial hair.
Shouts to RJ though. He showed up at JJ Redick's son's basketball game. I told JJ, I said, I'm shocked that the kids knew who Richard Jefferson was because
they know him from the internet. They don't know him from playing.
Okay, so they know him from TikTok.
Yep.
He probably is in the TikTok algorithm.
Yes.
I was like,
I've seen.
They were pretty excited about it though, and I was like, good for RJ. I was like, good for him showing up to support, the little Reddicks, but then also the kids being actually excited to see him. Like,
he paid them.
Yeah. Let's keep our third eye open on this one. Okay. We don't know the full reporting on that story. Welcome to the Coming Home podcast. We were previously known as the No Capricorn podcast. No Cap, Capricorn. Trey and I are Capricorn bros. We early January babies. But Paul, thank you to Paul who suggested the Coming Home podcast. So I think that's what it's going to be. Amin, as an executive on the board, how do you feel about the Coming Home podcast name for the Monday show? I
think that's a good name. I will not come home though. I will stay. I will roam the land. But for you guys, I think it works.
Is Stephen A. Smith a fashion icon in this sense? Is he refuses to come home and he's the biggest media mogul in the industry, on the sports side, and he's famously been able to refuse to come home. It's an amazing job.
Yeah, like it's funny because you know how we talk about some people are young as older people because when they were younger, they looked old. So like if you look 40 when you're 20, by the time you're 40, people go like, oh man, you look so young or whatever because you look old always, right? I think it's the same thing with Stephen A. We've never seen Stephen A with a hairline. He's always had a receding hairline. So now it's kind of like, oh no, you look at him, you don't even see it. It's like Paul Giamatti. Like no one's like, oh, Paul Giamatti really fucked his hairline up. You like, I've always seen him as a guy who's balding right here. So you accept it. Same thing with George Costanza from Seinfeld. You just accept it as opposed to like someone that had like LeBron and then one day it's not there anymore. Or, Michael Jordan when he started to lose his hair. Like all those people, it's like, we have something that we affiliate and associate you with before, and we can't let that go.
We can't let that go. That's a good way to get into our first topic here. Luka Doncic had 73 points over the past week. Joel Embiid also had 70 points. Trey, you asked it in the chat. Are we analytically close to 81 and 100. Like, how close are we to that? Are we going to see those records be broken here in the next, I don't know, near future? And this isn't just about, hey, cheering on these amazing scoring nights from the game's best players. As you know, the conversation veers into something else, which is this good? Is this good for the game that we have guys who are scoring this many points? Cat had 60 plus, Book had 60 plus in losses. It evolves into a discussion about whether it's too easy to score in today's NBA, that it's somehow diluted the game, that defense doesn't matter as much, or it's harder to play defense in today's NBA. And therefore, these high scoring nights are indicative of just the rules. And if Michael was playing today, he would have 120 points. And Kobe, if he was playing today, he'd have an easily 81 points on the regular. So first, Trey, are you of the opinion that defense is too soft, or I guess the rules are so offensively skewed that these numbers don't mean much to you, or mean as much as you'd like them to be? When Luka goes off for 73 and Embiid goes off for 70 and a couple guys go off for 60, how do you interpret those numbers?
Well, shout outs to Paul Pierce. Damn, I miss defense in the NBA, right? But I'm the middle ground because I'm in a tug of war. Although I do miss defense, I don't miss those low scoring ass games. And then also I'm on the crowd of like, run it up. I want to see this actually done. I want to see the first team score 200 points as a team. I want to see a player rival Kobe's 81 or Wilt's 100. I want to see that in my lifetime. You know what I mean? So it is set up. I do think that the rules are set up more to support the offensive player versus the defensive player. And also the defensive game is won differently than it was in the past. You get what I'm saying? Like, obviously, you look at defensive player of the years and you say, oh, okay, what have they done? Or this, that, and the third, and how are they effective? You really can't hand check. You can't touch them in a certain way. You can't foul a certain way. Different things that kind of set you up for failure. And the defensive game is kind of won on possessions. So it's definitely different, but like the NBA is still a product. And you go, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not paying my hard-earned money to see a guy play 40 minutes of hard defense. You know what I'm saying?
It's true. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Lou Dort's awesome to watch, but for junkies, but no one's paying, $100.
A defensive player would never be the face of the league. Let's just be honest. You know what I mean? Like, although we do enjoy it, like I said, basketball junkies, absolutely. We're going to like, yo, did you see how well he defended this person? Yeah. Or did you see that series of how the Timberwolves rotated? Or did you see this, that, and the third of like this guy, Wemby, is able to do that? And like, we do marvel off of the way guys are getting blocked and all these things, but it would never be something advertised as much as scoring. There's so many ways to score. And I think that's why it's the easy selling point or the association. When we look at box scores, we say, damn, he had 40, despite of how many shots he took. You know what I mean? Or how much a person is average. When we look at the MVP, yeah, sure, how valuable are they team? But we look at the PPG.
Right.
That's all that matters is the points. So it's not about whether it's a lack of defense, because I do think NBA players are applying effort and defending well, but we also have the most talented athletes in the world that can just score anywhere. Even if the 15th man on the bench could go to a rec league and score 60 points.
But so I think first of all, the Wilt 100 came in an era where teams routinely had 130 possessions per game.
Right.
It was juiced on juiced turbo ball, inflated numbers across the board. It was a different era. And we're okay with putting the Wilt 100 on a pedestal and treating that as the record. But as soon as today's NBA guys are playing 100, 110 possessions a game, we think that the rules are skewing so much that it invalidates the numbers. And I think it's a double standard. We can't go and say Wilt's got the record and then also say today's NBA is illegitimate because the defense is too soft or too hard to play good defense in the NBA now, officiating this and that and the third. But the interesting thing to me is it's not officiating to me. free throws are as low as they've been in NBA history. Like free throws per game, 72nd out of 78 in NBA history. There's not nearly as many free throws as there were in bygone eras. So I don't think it's a matter that players or scorers are leveraging the rules to get to the free throw line and you can't defend without fouling anymore. I think it's all about spacing. The game figured out the 3-point shot is incredibly valuable because 3 is more than 2, but also for the space that it awards your offense. And you get all these driving lanes and you got a guard on an island. It used to be you had to see people in front of you because you're starting your offense from 15 feet out. Now it's 30 feet out.
Right. So there's a couple of things. Number one, you're absolutely right. This is the basketball referencization of the game, which is you don't know why Wilt scored 100 or why Oscar averaged a triple-double or why any of those crazy numbers exist or why the record for most rebounds is like 56. Why? Because they shot 1 million times and the average field goal percentage for a team was like 39%. So more shots, shots, more misses, and all the other physical things of like, it's like 3 guys who are taller than 6'8", and they were all stiffs or whatever. So we don't, but because most of us were not alive to see that, we cannot have that as a point of reference. So we just see the numbers and go on with it, right? The other part of it is the rules. So it's not just the 3-point shot, right? And the 3-point shot, more threes, more offense, because 3 is bigger than 2, especially when you consider the types of shots people were taking 25 years ago, where it's like you took a 20-footer, or a 22-footer, why would you do that? Why wouldn't you just get the 3 or whatever and get an extra point for it? So that offense adds up right there. I think the lack of positions. So the idea that everyone is 6'8" and can do anything. Like we don't have a true center out there. We don't have the true point guard who's just trying to set people up. Like everyone's doing everything. And then finally, I go back to this every single time. The hand check rules. Like if I can't touch you, that makes it very difficult for me. So Trey, I always cringe when I hear people say, "Oh, I miss you defense," in the NBA. Like, what am I supposed to? You tell me I'm a defender. Show me who's doing it. You can't. I can't do it.
It's not a soul that can actually. We could go through the top 10 defenders in the league right now and say, "All right, stop this guy that's on fire." You do it. If you say, "Damn, Luka had 70," what? Okay. I bet if you put what's the name on him, he's going to do the same thing. He either going to get in foul trouble.
Yep.
He's going to have to watch. Yeah, these guys are just elite at scoring, bro. It is what it is. It is what it is. They're just getting better and finding different ways to score the basketball.
It's literally like, okay, let's handcuff this dude's feet together and then tie one hand behind his back. Now put him in the ring. Oh shit, you're getting your ass whooped. Well, of course I'm getting my ass whooped. How am I supposed to, how is this even close to being a fair fight? And I think.
So you think hand checking rules, Amin? You think if they reintroduced, or I think.
There's a couple. One, I think if they allow defenses to be more physical, I think that brings the scoring back down some. But here's the thing: if I'm the league, I'm saying, okay, so what would we rather have? Would we rather have what we're having now, or would we rather have wrestling, which is what it was in the early 2000s? And I think all of us would say, no, this is better. I'd rather watch people do basketball things than watch people wrestle. But I feel like there's a happy medium there where we can allow some physicality back. I don't know how much. I don't know what that is, but it's like we have to be able to. The defense has to have a chance. Give me a chance to stop the guy.
So I think that's right. I think when you look at what is happening in today's NBA game, it's a lot of 3-point shots. Okay, that's different than previous eras. It's not as many free throws, which is an important distinction that I think we need to make sure we hit, is that it's not like, yes, Luka had 15 free throws or something like that in that game with 73, but it's not like he had 30, right? It's not like he kept going to the free throw line. That's why he got his 73. He was getting to the rack a lot. And that's the thing about Luka. He's shooting 80% at the rim this season with high volume. It's not like he's just shooting threes every time to get his 73. The other thing is, I think there's room, like Amin, you said, a happy medium. I think the NBA should not get rid of the 3-point shot or move it back. I think what they should do is get rid of the corners. I think they should extend.
They talked about this a long time ago. Yeah. Like just have it go out of bounds. Because what we're having now is guys are camping out. Non-offensive players are parked in the corners now and just stand there. And the defense has to am I going to guard this guy? Do I have to it's a lot of standing around for those guys. If you eliminate the corner 3-point shot, not only is it a really short shot relative to other 3-point shots, but it also eliminates standing around and having PJ Tuckers of the world just stand there. A guy who doesn't have much offensive talent, stay on the floor because of the corner 3 shot. And I also think it would create more, innovative offense if you weren't able to park 2 guys in the corner. You actually had to do something with them and create more fluid offense. So, Trey, how do you feel about extending or just having the 3-point arc go out of bounds and eliminate the corner 3?
It just sounds like mad science.
But it's so natural. The mad science part is having the 3-point line curved. No,
I get where you're coming from, because I've thought innovative as well. Like me and Juju Gotti actually on Bomb yesterday talked about potentially rewarding the number 1 ranked player in the NBA at the end of the season. Like where there's a leaderboard throughout, like the world literally knows. Yes. Like it's literally like you're the number 1 player in the NBA. So there is an incentive of actually playing well. Like the NBA, there's times where like we feel the MVP didn't get it right, but we were like, yeah, he the MVP, but LeBron the best player in the world. You get what I'm saying? Right. And if there was an actual way of saying, hey, it literally shows you're the number 1 player for that year of that season, it would be interesting. But get back on the point.
Hold on. Let me just say rebuttal. I think that's the cool thing about like racing. Like for instance, if Lewis Hamilton is leading the points board, he is the number 1 racer that year. Though nobody be saying, yeah, but that motherfucker's a better racer. Like we're not talking about overall. And that's the trap we fall in basketball. I feel probably more than any other sport. It's like, hey man, this dude's the MVP because he's having the best season. Yeah, but LeBron's but he's not having a better season. Why can't we accept that? I'm not saying he's trash. I'm not saying this dude is way better than him. I'm saying he's having the best year.
Yes. And I think that should be that. I think that's the problem with NBA, right? Because we have so many options to debate and go this way and discredit that we don't even appreciate the actual person that's actually doing something in all these certain categories. Whether you're the best coach, whether it's this, whether it's the best defender, etc. It's just normally like, yeah, he cool. And that's it. It's, you know what I mean? It's a participation trophy at this point. You know
what I mean? They're trying to incentivize the number 1 ranking thing by being like, hey, you got to play. You got to play to be considered for MVP.
Well, that goes into that line too. You know what I'm saying? Because now you can't be considered the best. I think now that flows into your personal brand, that flows into a lot of stuff, because now people are going to be able to identify literally you as the best. We didn't have to have that problem with Michael Jordan because Michael Jordan was that dominant. Now that we don't have such a dominant player in the NBA, and everybody kind of checks out. Because again, Nikola Jokic, still very good. Still, any given night could be number 1 or number 2, depending on how it is, how we measure those things. Again, which is kind of probably a good segue for this. As far as Joel Embiid, he's doing it in less than 30 minutes. Oh, he's only doing this, but he's only playing these certain amount of games. The toss-up of who's better.
Is that the goal? Should that be the NBA's goal, is to have an individual award ranking that supersedes the actual standings?
I think it would lure in more fans to actual and also lure in an actual competitiveness. Like now it's a new goal to not only win a championship, but kind of individualize basketball in a way that the fan sees it. Because that's how we talk anyway. Basketball is a team sport, but we still talk about the best player being the GOAT.
Right, but what I'm wondering is, do we want more of that? Do we want more of that, and the death of the name on the front of the jersey versus the one on the back. What you're saying is we're already there. You can't
we've been doing that for the past 30, 40 years. I mean,
I'm just wondering if the health of the league is wanting that name on the back being more important than the name on the front, because if people aren't showing up to games, because they can argue about who's number one without having to watch a game or showing up to the game, less ties to the local city. If guys are just trying to up their individual score, I don't know. I think
it's already there though. That's my only pushback to it, because it's like, I would understand if it was like, if the team actually mattered, right? The team is the part where you're tied to in a connection, but like, you campaign to get a player on your team. You're rallying, like you would give the team to, you know what? If I had LeBron James on my team, I would do this. Let's take it back to 2010 when it actually really held some weight. You know what I mean? Because cool, you get LeBron James. He probably like Bill Belichick at this point for the next free agency, because he's gonna ask for a lot of shit. I gotta play. You gotta draft my son. You gotta do this. You gotta do this. Guaranteeing that I get all that. And now teams have that pushback of like, well, you're 41 years old. I'm probably gonna cost my future. I'm going to have to make and break up a team that I already have assembled to like accommodate what comes with you. And that's the same thing with Bill Belichick looking for a job. It's like, he's obviously one of the greatest coaches to ever coach in the NFL and almost one of the most winningest. But at the end of the day, it comes with the territory of like, damn, do I really want this man on my team? It's not that he can't find a job. It's just what comes with him.
It's a lot. And people don't realize and the Miami Heat put their foot down on a lot of stuff when he came to Miami. Lot. And part of the frustration with Spo early on, or the coach early on, or the organization early on, was just like he stepped into a situation where he didn't have the control like he had in Cleveland.
And it grows tiring despite winning, because that's where it comes back to the individual in part. That Heat team probably could have won 4 or 5. The same thing you can say probably about KD and the Warriors. It gets back to your individualism. Sure. Winning ain't even fun no more. Of course we gonna win. But what about my personal brand? What about me?
The disease of me.
Me.
Yo, how do we feel about Joel Embiid missing the game this weekend? His knee flared up. The trainers took him out. It was a rivals week matchup with Jokic in Denver. And Embiid missed his 11th game of the season. That's 75%. He's only played 75%, which is lower than the threshold he needs to win the award. So it's another one of these DNPs at Denver. First game that he hasn't played in Denver since 2019.
Time out. Why is everyone focused on Embiid? That's not the one who's fucking in trouble. The motherfucker in trouble is Tyrese Haliburton.
Yeah.
Because he's got like 5 or 4 games left that he can miss. If he misses more, he's ineligible for All NBA. If he's ineligible for All NBA, he loses out on $40+ million. He should be the one that we're freaking out about. Embiid is fine. Oh, I didn't get the second MVP in a row. Who gives a shit? My money's good. Tyrese, and that's why Tyrese played that game against Portland. Everyone's like, why would they bring him back? Because that motherfucker's not trying to lose his money. And this is ridiculous. Because basically what's happening is we're saying, dude, go out there and risk further injury for a stupid threshold. It's so dumb. Voters already take it into account. There's never been a dude. Was it Patrick Ewing, won Rookie of the Year playing 51 games. And like, if you look through the history of awards, most of the guys that win awards play a certain amount of games.
I'm in Tom's bag right now. Only 3 MVPs have missed 11+ games. Bill Walton, Iverson, and Joel Embiid.
Yeah.
Like, why are we writing a rule that doesn't apply to what the reality of how the voting goes?
Because again, they're trying to push back on the availability of players, making them play in regular season games.
I'm gonna tell you exactly what it is. It's why do we take our shoes off at TSA? That shit doesn't do shit. Because
you don't have a bomb in your sneaker?
Because one time some dude tried to do some shit like that. Once. And now we do this every single time. It doesn't address anything. It doesn't make anything secure. But what it does, we're doing things. Look, we made people take off their shoes, and we made the players play at least 65. It doesn't change anything. It doesn't mean anything. It's counterproductive.
And I think Tyrese Haliburton is a guy that I think the league should be wrapping their arms around and being like, let's make sure this guy, as a small market dude, I know it's in Indiana with the All-Star game, but penalizing this young guy for having a hamstring injury,
for being hurt,
who's hurt,
yeah,
but who's been leading one of the coolest stories of the league this season, but might end up with 64 games played. You're incentivizing him to play on one leg, risking further injury for the playoffs. When it's a chance to like herald this guy, be like, hey, actually, you should take care of yourself and your long-term future. Don't mess with your hamstring, buddy. Your bag will come. Don't mess with your hamstring. Because if you mess with your hamstring, you might be messing with that ACL, or you might be messing with that Achilles. Doesn't matter.
This supports the owners not having to give up their money at the end of the day, right? Because I mean, sure, you want to win ball games, but like, I don't think the Pacers is having championship aspirations. It's more so like, it's not our fault you didn't show up and play these games. Cool. Yeah. We get to keep our $40 million. We did our end of the deal. You know what I mean? You were supposed to be available and stay ready. But also, like Amin said, you're putting your player, your cornerstone, at risk too, in the standpoint. So who actually wins in this battle? You know what I mean? So like, I think it's a very stupid thing. But again, I also understand why certain CBA shit was passed and signed off, because, you know, from another standpoint, financially, guys was just spending like shit was falling from the trees. And, you know, they had to bend and you know, probably you don't agree with a lot of things, but like at the end of the day, it worked out in other ways and it hurt other ways. So, you know.
Yeah, so what Amin is saying is the Supermax is pegged to whether you make all NBA or all these postseason awards. And Tyrese Haliburton is eligible for the Supermax if he gets on one of these teams. And if he doesn't get on one of these teams, he is not eligible for the Supermax. And therefore, it's not a matter of whether he wants that money and the Pacers are wanting to give him that money. They're not allowed to give him that money. It's off the table if he misses a certain amount of games. So I think it's backfired. I wrote about it for my Substack at TomTheFinder.com, where I was watching the Today Show. We have it on when we make breakfast in the morning. Yeah, I had it when I was a kid growing up, and my wife and I, we put on the news in the morning, and my girls are like, hey, what's, you know, they ask questions about what's going on in the world, and we have conversations about it. Anyway, they had Joel Embiid's 70-point game on the Today Show, and I was like, and my 6-year-old, now 7-year-old, was like, hey, daddy, basketball made it to the Today Show. I was like, oh, really? Oh, yeah, Embiid made it. And like the Today Show always covers the NFL. Like NFL, no matter what happens, like they'll cover it. NBA, man, it is so rare to have the NBA make the Today Show. So they show the highlights. Hoda Kotb is like reading and here's Joel Embiid rounding around to the rim and making a layup. What a shot by Joel Embiid. And I'm just like, Hoda, all right, getting her Stu Scott on. I like this. She's reading the highlight, and then she comes out of the break, where it comes out of the highlight, and then Craig Melvin, who's a big sports fan, jumps in. He goes, here's the crazy thing. He's awesome. He's having an MVP season. He might be the best player in the NBA. Won't be eligible for the MVP because of this rule. And he goes in and just a wet fart on the whole conversation. And Hoda Kotb and Savannah Guthrie are looking like, wait, why wouldn't he be eligible for MVP? He just scored 70 points. And Craig was like, well, there's this new rule. You have to play a certain number of games, and he's not playing that certain number of games. He's missed a bunch of games. So, yeah. And Al Roker was like, don't be silly. Like, don't be silly. If he's putting up 70 points, he should be eligible for any award. And I'm sitting here being like, that's it, man. That is the problem, is we create these rules that end up backfiring, and because now the national conference, they had a moment on the Today Show, and all the viewers at home are listening going like, yeah, this guy misses too many games. What is going on here? I don't understand. I'm going to watch football. I'm going to watch the Today Show. And there was a cool moment. And not to say that like millions of people are now going to become NBA fans because they watch the Today Show segment with Hoda Kotb reading, you know, Joel Embiid tape. But the marketing problem of the NBA is that the stars don't play enough, and they're trying to fix that problem. And yet when they create a rule to fix that problem, it is exacerbating the problem, which is the perception that NBA players don't play. And so when it's on the Today Show and a guy scores 70 points, what's the takeaway? The guy doesn't show up to play. That's the takeaway. And I think that's the problem.
It's you know what it's like? It's like when we were testing people for marijuana and suspending them as a result. I'm like, the perception is the league is full of weed heads, right? Yeah. You know how to clean up that problem? Stop testing for marijuana.
Stop testing.
And then like nobody cares and no one ever talks about it again.
And not a soul. It's not like somebody's just going to show up high and just throw the ball out in the fucking audience or just shooting bad shots. Like that's not how, that reminds me of those Dare ads, right? Where dudes just like, don't get high and drive. And they're in the drive-thru and they hit the little girl on the bike. Like, oh no, that's not how high shit works, bro. You know what I mean? But they had advertised it like that so much, even in TV shows like, yo, we found pot in your bag. You know, that like leads to other stuff. And it was like, good scare tactic. But at the end of the day, when you actually go experiment, it's not like that at all.
Yeah. But I just think by creating this rule, they're making the conversation not about how great Joel Embiid is or how great Tyrese Haliburton is. It's, oh, he's missed this many games. Oh, yeah. Because then it feeds on itself. The next time season ticket holders or the next time you want to go to an NBA game, you got to check yourself and be like, is that dude going to play? And for the Denver fans this weekend who wanted to see Embiid and Jokic go head to head, didn't get it. Haven't gotten it since 2019. And the reason is because of the altitude, man. Denver and Utah, stars miss more games in those cities than any other cities in America. You want to know why? Because altitude's a motherfucker. Because guys get tired at altitude and this training staffs, they're going to err on the side of caution. So when Embiid's knee is cranky or blown up a little bit, a lot of it has to do with the altitude. It is hard to play at altitude. Those are the only two mountain cities in the NBA. And stars miss those games more than any other city in the league.
Also, he got hurt the game before against Orlando.
There's that too.
He's not sitting out because he don't want to play. He got hurt. He got hurt.
His knees messed up. Yeah. All right. So I want to talk about Doc Rivers here. I wrote about it. His playoff record, and we're going to talk about it here on our Patreon for our Patreon subscribers. So the Doc Rivers conversation, I think, has gotten out of control, and his blowing 3-1 leads, Game 7 stuff. So I got lots of thoughts, and I can't wait to talk to you guys about it.
Patreon.com/countthedings. Make sure you guys are locked in.
So Doc Rivers, man, we could talk for hours about how he got this job and how that's a bad look and how weird it is that how it's being reported over at the Worldwide Leader and how he was consulting, according to The Athletic, reporting Sam Amick, Shams Charania, and Eric Name were reporting that he was consulting personally. He was hired by the Bucks to go work with Adrian Griffin and teach him the ways and help him be a head coach while he was being employed by a league partner at ESPN with the top newsbreaker who allegedly never talked to the Bucks until when it was contract time when Adrian Griffin got let go. And we're going to talk about something different here. Put that all aside. I am so tired of Doc Rivers' brand or his reputation as being a playoff collapse, blowing 3-1 leads, can't win in Game 7s. The whole psychology or the cognitive fallacy of Doc Rivers is a bad playoff coach because he blows 3-1 leads like it's nobody's business drives me insane. And I don't know how you guys feel about Doc, but that part of the conversation, and maybe I'm paying too much attention to the conversation, but I think it's insane that we are disincentivizing coaches, or at least we're blasting coaches for going up, winning games, and then losing the next 3 games after that.
Well, it's so
compared to like a dude. This Doc Rivers has never been swept. He's never been swept in 35 series in the NBA as a head coach. He has never been swept. He's only every game, every series that he's been a part of, he's made competitive, and he's gone up and won a bunch of games early in the series. And we use that as a way to tear him down later than being like, damn.
Let me get this, Amin, real quick.
Yeah.
I will say it's easier from the couch, right? And when I say this, we always have to find a fall guy. We always have to find a running joke. 1,000 wins is 1,000 wins. 1,000+ wins at that in the NBA, right? And if you're fortunate to have a long coaching career, this is post-playing career. He was a player first. Then to have this and then to actually win a title, I think it's disingenuous and also kind of bad. Especially I heard Gilbert Arenas break this down of like how, he's coached all these Hall of Fame players and how he hasn't, he hasn't been able to win a big one since then or hasn't done enough with his talent. I think it's just a discredit because at the end of the day, like, wouldn't you want to hire someone who's actually won before? Wouldn't you want to hire somebody that has experience with Hall of Fame players or superstars and micromanage them? Wouldn't you want somebody who's been to the postseason, like you said, multiple times, year after year after year? And sometimes things don't go in your work. Is Doc the perfect coach? Absolutely not. Is sometimes he's stubborn and don't make adjustments? That's up for discussion. But at the end of the day, I would hire him majority of the time. You get what I'm saying? Because I look at the coaching pool. The thing about the rookie coach, it's relieving to say breath of fresh air, new style of basketball, new philosophy. When you're going out there, I've never seen those type of things. Yeah, my team is on a roll. Yeah, I'm giving weird answers like Joe Mazzulla. But at the end of the day, like, that doesn't equate to actual championships. And like, everybody's not going to succeed. I've seen Laker fans go up and down roller coaster wise with Darvin Ham. They loved him last year. Now they hate him. This is just a story of being a basketball coach. I still think that Doc is one of the best in the game, despite how his players felt about him. Because again, you look at it and you retire, you get comments from Glenn Baby Davis and other players saying, well, that guy. And it's like, all right, y'all still have to deliver on the court.
So there's a couple of things going on. Number one, there is stupid math. There's a stupid math in the NBA in general. Stupid math says, LeBron's 4-6 in the finals.
Yes.
He's been in the finals 10 times.
Yes.
Like in their stupid math says LeBron losing in the first round 6 times and being 4-0 in the finals is better than being 4-6 in the finals.
Thank you.
So this is the same thing. Stupid math says losing, blowing that many 3-1 leads is better than never having a 3-1 lead to begin with.
Yes.
Right. That's number one. Number two is, and I think this is the part where it's a mix of social media, stupid math, and also the number of former athletes who have platforms and voices. 20 years ago, 15 years ago, if Doc Rivers' career was the same except transported 15 years ago, maybe you have a stupid math, maybe you have some people on social media, but it remains something nobody cosigns. The problem is now you have a lot of former athletes who played for Doc, who, by the way, if you're in the industry, regardless of those guys are in the media or not, there's a large contingent of players that don't fuck with Doc. They feel like he's duplicitous, that he's a slick salesman, that like he'll tell you one thing and do another. He's two-faced. Like there's a lot of guys like that. And I don't want.
And then there's tactician stuff too of just adjustments in games. It's not just about.
But most of the credibility behind Doc is bad comes from guys that don't like him personally and how they dealt with him. And I don't want to invalidate their experiences. That's why we have former players and ask them questions, because they can tell you straight up, oh, that dude's full of shit or whatever. But the majority of people are not saying Doc sucks because of what the players are saying. They're saying Doc sucks because of this other thing over here. And these players don't like them. So that means it all goes together.
Do you think he has a higher Q rating among former players than Pop?
No. A higher? A higher Q rating?
Yeah. Do players like playing for Doc more than playing for Pop?
No. The number of guys, this is the difference. The number of guys who look back on playing for Doc and be like, that dude is full of shit, is way greater than the number of guys who look back at Pop, and Pop didn't like him. Quite the opposite. A lot of guys, after they played for Pop, years later, they're like, yeah, he kind of probably had a point about some of that shit. Like, I know Steven Jackson is very like open about his experience playing for Pop, and how he was angry and did like, oh, I'm better than Ginobili. How could you play this dude over me and da da da? But there's a lot of shit they says, yeah, like there's some shit that I needed to be told those things. Like, he always has respect for Pop, even if he doesn't agree with every decision that was made, even looking back. The guys that don't like Doc, there's no part of that. There's no nuance. Well, it's like they don't mess with him.
Trey, who has the highest Q rating among coaches, you think? Like, players, is it Spo? Is it Pop? Is it Phil Jackson? Is it like, who has the most, who's the most revered coach, do you think, among all the coaches? It's not George Karl, I don't think.
No.
I don't think it's the George Karl.
It's definitely not George Karl. I don't know. I think it's always, it's like having a teacher too. I mean, it's always them type of situations where you look at it and you're like, dang, man, I hated this dude when I was like close. And then when you kind of progress in life and kind of grow and understand and look back at certain moments, it's like, that's what he was trying to tell me this whole time. Yeah. Like, I know guys really disliked how Stan Van Gundy had a certain approach towards things, but they understand that Stan is a human first, and Stan actually genuinely cares about his players outside of basketball. Like, they no longer play for him, and he still would text them, you know what I mean, and build those relationships or give those guys jobs as assistant coaches when they probably only played maybe half a year with him. It's just that much, you know what I mean? So I think it's a love-hate relationship across the board. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. I don't think you're going to actually like and love the person overall. I think despite whether you win championships with somebody or not, I think at the end of the day, there's some type of relationship, and it takes maturity to get to them standpoints. But if I had to just throw a hot guess out there, I probably would think,
is it Ty Lue?
It would probably be Ty Lue. It would probably be Stan Van Gundy.
I'm gonna tell you, it's Larry Brown. Like, Larry, all the motherfuckers that, like, even the ones that clashed with him when they played, when they go back, they're like, that dude was the smartest basketball dude I've ever been around and made me so much better. Iverson, Rasheed Wallace, like all the people that you would think. Rasheed Wallace loved Larry Brown so much. Like, let me not tell that story, but basically, it made every other coach that came after him just not quite good enough. Because, like, I've experienced this, and now it's like everything else is just like, you don't know what you're talking about.
And certain coaches just like leave an impact. I mean, as a former player, I remember I wasn't the easiest player to coach. I was a smart ass. I was a very cerebral point guard. I thought I knew it all before I could actually be like taught. You know what I mean? Like, I got put on the line plenty of times, ran till I fucking threw up just because I would just push back and try to make my coach look like a jerk in front of my teammates. And I remember when I was done playing, when I was finally done, I was lost and I was trying to figure out what my next move. And my coach that I thought really didn't fuck with me like that offered me assistant coach job as a community college coach. You know what I'm saying? I got to coach on the college level, and all same thing for my high school coach. I got to coach DeMar DeRozan for 1 year. And these were the coaches I clashed with the most.
But there was a respect level.
But it was a respect level, and I was like, I see it now. I just didn't get it as a player from that perspective. And y'all were actually trying to teach me in these specific moments. You know what I mean? But, you know, again, being younger, you're just going to be naive and you think you know it all, and you don't see it for what it is. And sometimes the results don't really pan out and just life happens. So I think that is how most player, you know, like, you're going to look at it like, oh, I hate this guy. Same way how people love Brett Brown now. You know what I mean? When Joel scored 70, people were like going crazy, like, oh my God. Like, despite the situation, I don't think they hated him, but like they were ready to move on because they felt like a better coach was going to come in and just deliver.
Right.
You know, I think that's the expectation most of the time. But some coaches really be the best coaches at that particular time. They just have to deliver at hand. I don't think a lot of those Laker coaches on the revolving door were bad. I think it's just the pressure of the job.
Look at Mike Brown.
Yeah.
Motherfuckers try to tell us Mike Brown couldn't coach.
Yeah.
In Cleveland, it's because you just LeBron. And then in LA, like, see, I told you, like, he wasn't good.
Yeah.
And now Mike Brown's everyone's favorite coach. You know?
One thing I thought about with Doc Rivers.
By the way, Mike Brown is another one of those guys that, like, you talk about guys revere playing from. Guys love
Mike Malone too.
Mike Malone. I'll give you another name that maybe a lot of people don't know. PJ Carlesimo. Now they love him as an assistant coach. Anyone who's had PJ as an assistant coach, it was like they'll go through a wall for him. They love PJ.
You know who else?
Who's that?
Mike D'Antoni.
Oh yeah, no. Mike is like, everyone knows because you play for Mike. It's like, oh, this is the easiest basketball's ever been for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like anyone who's played for Mike walks away like, I've never played basketball this easy in my life. Mm-hmm. So there's a respect from that regard.
I put this on my Twitter. What's worse? I did a poll question. What's worse, going up 3-1 and losing? Getting swept. Before you respond with what you think is worse, and worse is a nebulous term, you can kind of put in whatever you want there. What do you think the percentage is of the public voting? Which is worse, going up 3-1 and losing or getting swept? Do you think it's 50-50? Do you think it's 60-40, 3-1? Do you think it's 90-10? Where do you think it lies?
I think it's 60-40 and 60% say they'd rather get swept than blow a 3-1 lead.
What's worse, blowing a 3-1 lead or getting swept? Trey, what do you think the public says?
Getting swept. I mean, no, I think the 3-1 lead.
Yeah,
I think the public says 3-1 lead.
Yeah.
But it's obviously swept because, like, you never had a shot. You never had a chance. The 3-1 shit could be literally like you knew losing 3-1 is you could sit back and know the very moment that you watched it slip away. Yeah.
So you got so close. Like, I think there's a human psychology of this, is having it and then losing it, fumbling at the one, you know?
I'd rather be blown out than lose on a buzzer beater.
Yeah, and then lose on a buzzer beater. Easy call every time.
So the percentage is 80% said blowing a 3-1 lead is worse. 80%.
Damn.
4 out of 5 people said blowing a 3-1 lead is worse than getting your ass beat handed to you 4-0. So, and even the 3-1 leads, Amin, 2003 Orlando, Doc is playing, he's coaching T-Mac in Orlando against the Detroit Pistons, #1 seed. They go up 3-1 in the series and they lose. An 8 seed versus a 1 seed. They blow the 3-1 lead. And that's more important, the 3-1 lead, rather than an 8 seed pushes a 1 seed to 7 games. Okay, 2015, Clippers, Rockets. Chris Paul misses the first 2 games. They split the series 1-1 without Chris Paul, and then they get to 7 games against a higher seeded Houston Rockets team, and they lose in 7 games. They collapse in game 6, and they lose game 7 by 3 points. And then, of course, the Denver Nuggets series where there was no home court. So yeah, the Clippers had home court. They had probably the better team. They go up 3-1, and then Paul George, they collapse. Nikola Jokic wins that series. He averages like a ridiculous amount. Incredible. Those are the 3 times. Neither one of those times did he have home court in game 7. And there's very extenuating circumstances to explain that 3-1 quote unquote collapse. Anyway, I'm done ranting about it. I think football needs to get rid of kicking. We'll leave on this. Ban kicking. Kicking is for cowards. And this whole Dan Campbell, should he have punted, or should he have kicked a field goal, or should he have gone for it on 4th down, I think is the most moronic shit ever. I'm done with it. Football shouldn't be decided by soccer players. Get rid of them. It's the most coward thing. Dan Campbell, if you want to go for it on 4th down, we shouldn't have a discussion.
Yeah.
Go for it.
I was so happy he went for it.
So abolish the punt?
Abolish the punt. It's not football. It's for cowards. Punting is a 40-yard interception. That's what it is. That's what it is. We should incentivize.
I love this rant, by the way.
We should incentivize football teams to try to push the ball towards the other end zone. That should be the game. As soon as we bring out soccer players to kick field goals and punting it, we've lost the plot. We've lost it. If the Lakers are down 2 points and they need a 3-pointer, it's not like they bring out Michael Phelps or Katie Ledecky to swim 100-meter dash. We don't do that. You know why? Because it's insane to bring out a totally different sport and bring it into your sport and try to decide a game that way. The whole conversation about Dan Campbell and going for it, or whether you should have taken the points and brought in a kicker, it's madness. It is madness. And I like the fact that I uncover the NFL. I think there's people in the NFL and who cover football or live football, they're too close to it to see how insane it is that we let games get decided by kickers, and the whole conversation about Dan Campbell, who's an ultimate badass, who just wants to fucking punch it through your face on 4th down and go for it and trust his players. The guys who have played 90% of the snaps to go play and get 5 yards.
You know what
that
it is,
guy
Tom.
Is the villain.
You know what it is, Tom, right? Football is a sport that historically is very conservative. And so whenever anyone does something aggressive, they're like, "Whoa!" They get scared because they want safe and quiet and meek. They don't like taking risks, which is why all the best coaches are the risk takers.
Yes.
Like all the ones are like Belichick.
But it isn't even a risk. It isn't even a risk. The number.
Saying, it's not a risk. I'm not talking about mathematically. I'm talking about tomorrow. If this doesn't work, tomorrow will anyone blame me? That's what I mean by conservative.
Which is cowardly.
Of course,
that's what I'm saying.
It's a cowardly sport. There, I said it.
Yes. Maze, I need you to get in here, Maze. Maze, please help me out here.
No, he's not. Maze is happy with the results, so he's not.
I know.
Look at that.
If you want to get rid of the Niners kicker, go ahead. I'm done with this.
There you go.
We got him in the 3rd round, and he's missed a kick in every playoff game. He missed the kick to beat the Browns. He's a 3rd round pick. We spent a 3rd round pick on this guy.
Why do we have kickers? Why?
Listen, I'm not for making people lose their jobs, right? Or scholarships.
I think we're gaining jobs. We're bringing more. If we're going to play all 4 downs in football, we're going to need more talented people out on the field who play football. Not soccer.
I get it. I'm just saying. I think about the extra scholarship or the extra contract for the kicker. You know what I mean? But I do understand
it's a pretty
it. I mean,
weird, isolated
as
part
a former
of the
football
team.
player, I look at it from a perspective of yes. I hate it.
Trey's done everything.
No,
Trey,
I have.
what if there was a guy on the team who shot all the free throws? Okay?
Yeah.
And so you're practicing, you're running
that's
plays,
actually basketball.
you're running plays, you're doing whatever. No, okay, but what if the free throw was like bowling?
Yes, that's it. That's it.
He's in the corner. He's in the corner bowling all practice. And then when you get fouled, the bowler comes out.
You guys want to take
on him. He misses, and then everybody hates him.
I think this is funny that you guys want to take the foot out of football. That's basically what you're talking about.
Yeah,
like,
it would just be called American ball.
No.
What part of it is football at that point?
It's
American
You're running
ball.
on the ground with your feet. It's football, okay? That's all we care about. That's all we should care about, okay? To catch a pass, you need to run on your feet to catch the ball.
You got to change the name. It's going to be catch ball.
Catch ball.
But I will say I did feel a way as a wide receiver or skill position. I played quarterback as well. Watching the fucking kicker just jog around the whole practice, and then they had here and there they would kick it to this net. And then the only time that they ever did some shit with us is when we had to run gassers at the end of practice.
Yep.
And made nothing else. That was it. They had the easiest job.
They got the TSA pre-check line when everyone else had to get in general admission, right? And here's the thing. They're fungible. Like, how many times have good teams just gone through kickers during the season?
That's fair.
Well, they're fungible until they're not. That's the problem.
Yeah. There's Justin Tucker?
Justin Tucker's awesome, but I mean, like the story with Brandon Aubrey, the Cowboys kicker this year, was pretty cool because he was like a college soccer player who got drafted to the MLS and then got washed out of that because they're doing academy stuff, and then was in like the USFL for 2 years, and then came to the Cowboys and hit 32 straight kicks.
Cool, great. The St. Peter's kid with the mustache, great. He's not going to the NBA. You know, like he had a really good run in the tournament a couple years ago, but at the end of the day, he's not a great
Tom, so I guess my question is, so if you're at the 35-yard line and it's 4th down and there's no kickers, you're just going for it?
Go for it. Yeah. That's
NFL Blitz. NFL Blitz.
Hey, hey man, it's like the whole game is a 2-point conversion.
It is.
You know what, Tom? And then you make that rule, right?
Okay.
And then you run into a Joel Embiid 65-game MVP situation, and some team loses because there's no kickers, and everybody's pissed about it. So it's a nice idea, but there's always going to be something that'll mess it up.
I just look at the scoring would change.
Great.
That's it. We have to change the scoring, and we would have to just have that approach. But I'm all right with it. I think it's more exciting without the kicker. Because the dramatic of like punting on 4th down.
Don't you want to see Patrick Mahomes more?
I don't want to see nobody run. I don't want to see nobody run down the clock either. I hate that.
Oh, kneeling? You want to get rid of kneeling?
That shit sucks, man. Like you're not giving me an opportunity to actually, you know what I mean, get a shot at like I think that would add excitement, even though football is probably the most exciting sport in America, right?
And kickers.
But you remove the kicker, and now for this, you could eat the clock, sure, but like at the end of the day, you won't do this bullshit where it's like, oh, I only got let me run this down about 4 seconds. Then you know what? Timeout. You know what I mean? Like, nah, you gotta every play counts. Every play counts.
Every play.
I like. You know what I like about this? You guys are trying to fix the most popular sport in this country that's making money hand over fist and fucking ratings bonanza.
Hey, it's like owning the Knicks, man. It's like owning the Knicks.
It's broken to me. We're trying to fix it. Okay,
it's like owning the Knicks, bro. They need fixing too.
You know, they fixed it. You know how they fixed it?
What?
Taylor Swift. Yeah. My favorite thing is for years the NFL has been begging Taylor Swift to do the halftime show. He's like, absolutely not. And now she's going to do their entire show.
What does this
entire game? Because
what does this mean for Usher? What does this mean for Usher? Knowing
he's still going to kill it.
No, this is the thing. I've seen Twitter saying they should have her perform. Like, because again, people who aren't paying attention, because again, we got to look at the percentage of who's actually watching the game and who's not. And now the non-traditional fan has more eyes and visibility knowing that Taylor's going to be at the Super Bowl. That viewership is about to be astronomical.
Crazy.
First of all.
It's about to be crazy.
And then secondly, they're going to be like, everybody loves Usher, I would like to think. But when you add a Taylor Swift, another musician to the game of this, it's going to be such a distraction, bro. It's going to be such a distraction towards Usher because people are not going to understand that why is she not performing or why it would be so cute for her to do this. I'm telling you, bro. So? Yes, bro.
I think this is what's going to happen. There's going to be
Taylor Swift out though. Shout out to Taylor Swift, amazing artist, amazing songwriter.
Because here's my thing. Like, would I rather see some ugly old dude in a box? Yeah. Just the owner of the. I don't give a fuck, man.
I don't think we would highlight fans like that much. But I like it.
Like Eminem every 5 seconds. They're like, what are you talking about? This motherfucker give him
sure. And Trey, the distraction we're talking about. There's a break for like 30 seconds every 30 seconds.
What distraction?
The whole game is a distraction.
You're right. I think I just got fatigued. My bad.
Yeah, you just.
My bad. I have no.
It's okay though. We got E40. So we're set.
Hey Swifties, I love you guys.
Yeah.
Shout out to Swifties.
It should have been Detroit though in the Super Bowl, so we could get Eminem versus Taylor Swift, which is classic Eminem, right? Eminem always going on for like pop stars.
It would have been great, man. You know,
we had a versus between America's and Eminem in the Super Bowl.
What's up? White hip hop star versus white pop star.
Yo, but also that's Eminem's like whole history is like
you can sit me here next to Taylor Swift.
Hey,
Christina Aguilera better switch me chairs.
Listen, the Snow Bowl in Vegas would have been amazing. Yeah.
He's white.
That's a double entendre, by the way, because it's a lot of snow in Vegas.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Also, he's old. She's young. Like, he's vulgar. She's all American. Like, she's like Hollywood. He's Detroit, like Motor City. Yeah. So it's like all the fucking clashes right now. What do we get? We get E40 versus
40.
Not quite.
Am I the only person to wear Delta Airlines merch?
Yes.
Okay.
There's no airline in the world.
By the way, to plug our agency, we sold out of merch in LGA at the particular time.
Delta?
This is leftovers. Delta had a pop-up. They had a pop-up and they sold swag and they did extremely well. And I got the leftover, the sample. And I'm Delta like very cozy in my thin, even though my miles don't match this reward. No. I don't think I could actually afford. I don't travel enough to get one of these swag, but I feel good.
This might be a very white guy question, but does Eminem have like top 5 rap credentials among the black community?
So
depending on who you ask.
It's generational. Like, people my age, around my age and older, everyone's like, that motherfucker is a rapping ass, like, has incredible respect level. But like many people in this space, Eminem held on a little too long and then had a bunch of freestyles and stuff that for the modern audience was just like, what is he talking about? And then it turned into a meme that, like, what's the dude that the weird comedian, Chris D'Elia. Mm-hmm. Chris D'Elia had that, like, Instagram video that went viral where he's like, this Eminem forcing abortion, like, and so that became kind of like, oh yeah, let's ridicule Eminem. But like, if you were anywhere between, I guess like 40 and up, I think he carries like, that much, like, especially motherfuckers in the industry, excuse me, that motherfucker is golden. Like, because when Eminem first came out, there was a lot of people who say, oh, he's just white. That's why he's so popular. And of course, it was a part of his popularity, but his technical ability was like, you could, like, once you sat down and listened to him, right, be like, oh no, yeah, he might be also popular because he's white. It's like Christian McCaffrey. Like, Christian McCaffrey might be popular because he's white, but also that motherfucker's real as shit. Like, he'll run you over and catch in the flats and then all that shit. It's like, you can't say that he's a bum who's getting by because he's white or that he's average. Same thing with Larry Bird.
One white running back, and he might as well be the best running back. That works.
Yep. Same thing with Larry Bird. Looks like you could say all that shit about, or Luka, right? You could say all that shit like, oh, he's more popular because he's white. Yes, but also he's really fucking good.
He's going to put 73 on your ass.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm glad I got that kicking ran in.
That made my day. I ain't gonna lie. That was good.
Those kneecaps, Tom. Bite those kneecaps right off, dude.
Yeah. I don't get it. I'm glad you said the bowling thing. Because it's insane. How is football player? How are they okay with this?
By the way, I think we should replace free throws. It would be more exciting than seeing people shoot free throws.
And here comes Peter.
Hey, be like, all right, it's overtime. All right,
Bill Murray from Kingpin coming in with his
get the lanes ready. Get the lanes ready, and you get to pick one random player to like go knock down. Just do not pick Chris Paul. Just pick anybody. Hey, do not pick Chris Paul.
It's not even the Chris Pauls. It's just some dude.
It would be
really good at bowling.
It was Chris Paul, who is a 300 bowler, and then he goes and he chokes. That shit would be fucking hilarious.
Yo, now his legacy would literally be on the line. Like, for real.
He could keep bowling long after his playing days are over. He could bowl until he was 55.
Oh man. Thanks, Trey. Amin, appreciate you coming by on this Monday.